I do many things. I've always done many things. But at some point, I went stop. Because, I mean, when you read books and you listen to motivational speeches and videos, they tell you that focus is key if you want to succeed, right? Meaning that you have to learn how to focus on one thing at a time and then move on to other things if you want to be a success. But focusing on one thing at a time is not my authentic self, right? I'm the person who loves to do multiple things at the same time. I'm the person who has the ability to juggle these things effectively at the same time. And so I had to come to terms with the fact that this is who I am, this is how I'm built, and this is what I can do, and just, you know, own my multi-potentialite identity and just go on. But even in doing this, I have realized that it is not the easiest thing to do. It's hard. Juggling so many things at the same time can be really hard, but it's doable. In this video, I wanted to talk about my experience being a multi-potentialite, coming to terms with it, and how I'm learning to prioritize and effectively juggle all the many things that I do. But I won't be doing it alone. I'm going to be doing one of my best friends, Joyce, aka Kush. For as long as I can remember, Joyce has done too many things, right?
You make it sound like it's a bad thing.
No, it's not. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. But she has been doing so many things. Joyce does PR, talent management, events production, digital marketing, business development, TV production, filmmaking. There's almost nothing that in the creative industry that she doesn't put her hands on. And she's a helper, so she's always collaborating with people on their own projects just to make sure that people get these things done. So I figured if there's somebody I would want to talk to about or talk about this subject with, it has to be Joyce, because she has the experience and the expertise. And it's not just about juggling so many things, it's about the ability to actually do them well. Yeah. And she does them really well. So stay tuned. As we go to this video, we'll talk about our experiences coming to terms with, first of all, the fact that we're multi-potentialites and how we are handling juggling so many things at the same time. Let me ask like this. Did you always know that you were going to be person who's doing so many things at the same time? If not, when did you come and how did you come to terms with this multi-potentialite identity?
Okay, so I've never known that I could do or I would do everything that I do today. Okay, everything pretty much started at one point or the other in my life. And how did this start? So about 10 years ago, when I was in school, I just gotten into school, and so I'd wake up in the morning, go to class, you know, come back home, study, and there's still like half of the day to go. You know, I was always bored and I always wanted to do something. I've always been the type to always be engaged with something, and so I started to look for something to do, you know. So I started out with dance, you know. I wanted to dance, and then I realized I could rap, and then I started to use that to pass time. And over time, it started to graduate, you know. So from rapping, it became promotions for artists, you know, because I now got into the community of artists, and so I realized, you know, we all cannot be blind bats moving together. I could be the one helping the music go out there. And so that was how I started public relations. Actually, I started with music promotion, and then it started to go on and on and on. You know, at some point I was a blogger, you know, before I got into digital marketing, and then I went into club tours at some point, bookings and all of that. And you know, it has just graduated, you know, like that. And I would say that being a multi-potentialite, you know, it's probably something I could have ignored, you know, but I do all these things simply because I love to be a problem solver. Yeah. So if you love to solve problems, you'd practically find yourself doing different things at different points in time, because, you know, instead of waiting and just waiting for a miracle to happen or for something or someone to help you with something, you'd find yourself going into it. So I remember a time where a client of mine went into she started to make videos, you know, for her YouTube channel, and we totally forgot that there had to be the editing aspect of it. And as soon as we're done shooting and we realized that we didn't have an edit, okay, so at first we got an editor to edit our videos, and we realized that we could not sustain it. And then I just pulled out my laptop one day, downloaded Adobe Premiere, went on YouTube and learned how to edit videos. And before you know what's happening, I started editing videos. So it's born out of problem solving. And, you know, it's just been going on. And sometimes, so even with talent management, you know, so I was promoting for artists. And then I realized that at some point I didn't enjoy what I was promoting. So it meant that the content I was being given to promote had a problem. And so sometimes I would find myself in the content creation process, you know, with artists. And then I realized that I started taking up more talent management responsibilities as well. And so that was how I got into talent management. So if I can, you know, go through the content creation process with you, then it means I can promote it and then we can get favorable results. So that's basically how I've gotten, or I've gotten myself into this, you know, I don't know what to call it, but I don't regret it, honestly. I like every bit of it. I like the challenge of learning new things, you know, going into new fields and just learning everything one day at a time.
That's amazing. I think for me, it's more of the many things I do are just an expression of myself.
Okay.
Right? So, and they're not too far from each other. Speaking, videos, marketing, coaching, everything has always just been the one thing I want to do, but just expressing myself in different ways. So when an idea comes, the first thing I usually check is, does this idea resonate with me and my why? If it's still me and my why, then it's just another way. If it's a project or an event to create, I just ask myself, is this still embedded in my purpose? Is it still my passion? If it is, then it becomes easier. So a couple of weeks ago, I was on a panel and somebody asked me, Peter, how do you balance the many things in your life? And I was like, I don't see it totally now as balancing many aspects. I see it as me just living my life, one life, but expressing myself in different ways, right? So it never feels like I'm out of place. It never feels like I'm trying too hard to be something I'm not. It's just, oh, I like to talk. Okay, I'm doing it this way. I like to share ideas. I'm doing it this way. I like to teach people. I'm doing it this way. I'm passionate about building businesses. I'm doing it this way. So it's just two things, people or business growth. As long as all these things I do is an expression or an avenue to grow people or grow businesses, they never feel like it's out of place. And so even if they're like 10 different things at the same time, I'm like, I'm growing people, I'm growing business. It's literally my purpose, it's literally my passion. So I mean, it just makes it seem like it's one thing at the end of the day, because they all can come together and marry each other. And so when I realized that everything I do and everything I always want to do has to be able to marry each other, they always have to be like there's a balance, like there's something at the core of it, so I don't feel out of place. Then I figured, okay, yes, I can definitely keep juggling, and I'm meant to be doing what I'm doing at this particular time.
Okay, just like what you said, that majority or everything you do is actually an expression of yourself. It's the same for me. So for me, there's entertainment. I love to entertain people. You understand? So it might not be me entertaining people, but a function of what I do, what I put together. I love to solve problems, and I'm very enthusiastic about brand development. So entertainment is where the event management comes in, and that's where talent management comes in, and that's where film production comes in. Same with TV production. And then with business development and public relations, I help people, I solve problems for people, I solve communication problems, I solve business development problems.
So at the end of the day, they're all tied to a core. It's either you're entertaining or you're problem solving, but it's never outside of what you really.
And they're all around the things I'm passionate about. So I'm not doing anything that's outside of what I enjoy doing. The minute I stop enjoying it,
it
right? Goes.
I always tell people, like, see, I know that consistency is key and you have to build over a long period of time. But if at any point I feel like I'm done with this, I'm done with it. If I feel like I wake up tomorrow morning and I'm done with YouTube because it's becoming stress and I don't enjoy it, I'm done with it.
And that's the irony, because most people do not see it from our point of view, because they see it as you giving up, you know. I remember one time when I was struggling with digital marketing, you know, digital marketing used to be a core for me, but then I realized that, you know, it wasn't exactly, it started becoming, you know, a routine, you know, thing. So I wasn't really, especially social media management.
Let's not go there.
You know, at some point, we used to reject social media management, you know, so it was, as long as I stop enjoying it, you know, it becomes too heavy a responsibility and I just want to drop it.
So I think one of the first things that you guys can take away from this video is, or two things rather, that I am taking away is, one, all the things you do, they have to be things that you're super passionate about. Because it's passion that keeps the fire burning, it's passion that keeps you going. So even when you feel like this is a challenge, it's hard, I don't want to get up on bed, because you're really genuinely passionate about it, because you genuinely enjoy doing it, you still find the motivation to stand up and show up and get stuff done. And secondly, making sure that all the things you do have a way to connect to each other. Because the only way that you start beginning to feel out of yourself or out of place is when you can't seem to put all of them, connect all of them, when you're like, oh, this thing, it's just another thing entirely, this is another thing entirely, this is another. But if there's a core, one or two things that connect all your many activities, all your many lives, then you would feel like you are more balanced and you're more steady.
Yes.
Okay. So I said earlier in the introduction, right? I am accepted that this is who I am.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard, right? It's the fact that you have to work yourself out, right? There was a time when I had absolutely no social life. I think I'm trying now. But I mean, you can't go out all the time. You can't. I have a 9 to 5, then I have a 5 to all the time. So I'm in the office, and then when I'm done with work, I have to go back home and go for a meeting to continue other things I'm doing. People are happy in the office on Friday because it's weekend. I don't feel like it's weekend because I'm going to work Saturday and Sunday. And then on Monday, everybody's looking refreshed. And I don't feel like I had a weekend because I worked Saturday and Sunday. So it's hard, but I have to keep going on. And then after breaking down sometime last year, I think I worked for like 4-5 months, 7 days a week at a stretch. And then one day, I think August last year, I just broke down. That was the first time that I had to tell myself, say, body no be firewood. You have to learn how to deliberately carve out time to rest. What's your experience with this? Because I know I'm not the only one.
Well, so with mine, I think it's even more physically stressful, because as a talent manager, sometimes you find yourself going for media rounds, you know, at the earliest time possible. So your client can be asked to come in for a TV interview for 7 a.m. and you live on the island, and that TV station is at the outskirts of Bega. And so you have to be up early, and you have to be on the road, and you have to, you know, get there on time. And yeah, just like you, last year, I worked at a stretch, you know, and then when I was even supposed to get a break, that was when I landed one of my biggest clients ever. And so I was like, no, we have to do this. And I did that, and as soon as I was closed for business in December, and that was December 23rd, I broke down that day. Like, my body literally scattered, you know, and it was bad because Christmas wasn't Christmas for me. I was ill, you know, I had to focus on, you know, getting well and all of that, because January work was supposed to start again. And so, yeah, most times, you know, people like us, we find ourselves just working and working. You know, when you're not, for me, when I'm not producing, I'm probably in the studio with one of my clients. When I'm not in the studio, I'm probably going for meetings or having a business development strategy session. So there's always something to do at every time. And learning to rest is something I'm not there yet. I'm gradually embracing it, because you cannot be productive if you're constantly stressed, you know, and we are in the creative industry where you have to constantly churn out creative ideas and solutions and all of that. So I would say the only reason I have learned to take breaks, you know, and to hold myself is because the fear of breaking down, you know. 2 weeks ago, I was hospitalized for the first time in years, you know, and that's because I had worked from January to August without resting. So after breaking down in December, you know, worked from January to August, and then I broke down, and now I'm consciously going to make sure I do not overwork myself. And even when I find myself being overworked, I'd have to consciously create time to rest, you know. There are times when I I know I cannot rest in Lagos because Lagos is work. Being in Lagos is like being in the office. Do you understand? So most times I have to go travel, elsewhere, or go to a resort, spend 2-3 days there and just relax, because it's not enough to relax the body. The mind has to rest. The mind, there were times last year when I'll be sleeping and I'll be dreaming of work and thinking of work, you understand? So the mind has to be in a state of rest, and that's when you can even be replenished and you can be more productive.
Yeah.
So
I think for me, 2 things that really help me to rest now is, one, I think I have a really great support system. So my auntie she's literally texting me all the time. Like if I'm not in the house, she's like, have you slept? Have you eaten? And then she goes, so for instance, in August, I took a break, so I went home. And then when I came back, she was like, so tell me what your calendar is like on September. And I was like, see, I'm not doing anything in September. The next week, she's like, oh, we're not doing anything in September. I'm like, oh shit, I have this first week, I have this second week, I have this third week. And next thing I knew, my weekends in September were full again. So I told her, you know what, I'm not doing anything in October. So she has written it down that I'll try as much as possible not to do anything. So there's that support system that constantly reminds me that, hey, Peace, you're working a lot and you need to rest. I get home sometimes and she's like, I'm seizing your laptop on your phone for a few hours, just rest. But another thing is that I'm consciously learning to say no more. Especially for the weekend events and speaking engagement I had. I just realized that at some point, anything that comes, yes. And the excuse was, I like to teach people, I like to inspire people, and the feedback is amazing. That's like when I'm my most fulfilled self. But then training is also the thing that breaks me down the most because of the amount of energy I put into it every single time I speak. So now I'm more conscious of like, see guys, I can't do this, I'm sorry. Just saying no over and over again, and just saying no, realizing that the ability to say no is not necessarily a weakness, it's a strength. You have to be able to say, I can't do this right now because I need to take care of myself, I need to take care of my health, and that's super important. So for me, it's the support system, and then just consciously reminding myself that I need to deliberately say no to a few things and shut off something. So another thing that's helping me to manage all this is collaboration, outsourcing, right? I think it's just knowing that if I'm going to be able to do all the things I want to do, I can't do it alone, right? It's realizing that I can't do all of it alone, and I shouldn't want to do it alone because I won't take the grade or anything. So I'm more deliberate about talking to people about stuff now, collaborating on projects. When you feel like my plate's too much and a client comes, is there somebody else I can outsource this job to so that the person can still get it done? But I won't make all the money, but at least I know the job is done, I can still retain clients. If I feel like it's too much for me, let somebody just come and let's partner together to do it. So learning to collaborate, to partner with people, and to sometimes just outsource the whole thing, like just take it off me, right? Let me supervise, but I don't want to be like involved in it day-to-day, has really been helping me to be more productive, more efficient, and still do all the many things I want to do. What do you think?
So for me, yes, collaboration has been very important for me. Outsourcing, definitely, and yes, hiring staff. That was something I had to. Yeah. So I'll come to that. So for collaboration, of course, you know this much. There are times where I get really complex marketing gigs and all of that, and like, peace, please, let's do this together. That has really helped a lot. And also, even in PR and all of that, I have people I trust that I know that I can collaborate with.
Collaboration.
And same with outsourcing, especially with things that I know there's someone out there who would probably do this better.
Exactly.
Because I'm more on, the quality of the work, than the money you make or the accolades. Yes, so I've learned to outsource certain things a lot, especially. So I've built a network of people I can trust. So when this thing comes up, I know who to call. There's usually 1 or 2 names at most that I can think of, and so that has helped. And then also this year I had to learn that if I have to build a brand, I have to have people capacity in it. I have to have people who will take up certain responsibilities that I have to stop being, worried about or have to do personally. So, yeah, last year I told you I broke down totally because I was taking up too much. The funny thing is, last year I had an employee, but because I wasn't used to the dynamics of being a boss, you know, so when I ask my employee to do something and he comes up with an excuse, I'm like, you know what, I'll do it myself because I've always done this thing alone for years. And so this year I decided to take it more seriously. I hired 5 people and I shared different responsibilities to them while training them. And after about 3-4 months, you know, I now realized what responsibilities were really important and what responsibilities I needed to, you know, what responsibilities I needed to give to other people to do. And so I downsized to about 3 employees. And right now it's been perfect. Work has been great. So I mostly do the brain work and everybody just, you know, does everything and everybody knows what to do at every given point in time. And so the only time where I get overwhelmed with work, so I'm a perfectionist, I have to admit that. So I always have to check everything that goes out. So I can have my assistant write an email, you know, I tell him to write an email to send, but then I have to cross-check before he sends it out because everything that comes out of, you know, my brand has to have a certain persona to it. And so I'm gradually beginning to teach my employees, you know, basically how I think and how I talk because I feel like that's the persona of the brand. So yes, hiring, collaborating and, you know, outsourcing has been a great way to, you know, overcome the stress that comes with, you know, being a multi-potentialite.
And I think, and just to add, I think another thing to that, under collaboration, outsourcing, hiring, is just being able to prioritize. I think it's important to know what is important at every time. It's essential to know what's important at every time, what needs my utmost attention right now, and that would also help you to even know what to outsource or what to give your staff. Because there are some tasks that you know, okay, you know what, this thing is important right now. This client is important, so I should do it myself. And so the other ones that I feel like these guys can actually handle, I should learn how to delegate it to other people. So it's very important that when you have so many things you're doing, be able to plan your time and manage your resources in a way that you know what to pay attention to at every point in time and what you need to collaborate with people on, what you need to outsource and what you need to dedicate to your staff. I mean, that whole time management and tax management dynamics is super important if you're going to collaborate, outsource and delegate to your staff most effectively. I think we've covered a lot, so let's just talk about fulfillment, right? Because at the end of the day, passion, purpose, collaboration, resting, at the end of the day, we're doing all these things so that we are happy, right? So I don't know what the question is, but just talk to me through where you are right now, being this young, achieving, amazing, excellent, multi-potentialite entrepreneur.
So to be honest, as much as I feel like I'm not even halfway where I want to be, I have to take into consideration all I have done. You understand? I've done a lot. People tell me that I do a lot and I'm like, you do? Really? Okay. But where we want to be, okay, it's cool. It's very fulfilling, honestly. So even when I'm stressed and tired and frustrated and throwing tantrums, there's this fulfillment that comes at the end of the day, knowing that you're solving these problems for people and knowing that you're helping people achieve things that they cannot achieve on their own. So, and then also there's a fulfillment that comes from knowing how to do so many things because most times opportunities will spring from nowhere, and I'm usually, you know, one of the persons people think of like, oh yeah, Kush can do this. I know she can do this. Do you understand? Because I got into film production 2 years ago, and then less than 2 years later, I had to take up the responsibility of producing a TV show. You know, so I didn't have prior experience before then, but when there was no choice and there was no one, I had to take up that responsibility, and I can say it's been going so well, and now I even want to develop that, you know, that aspect of myself. So it's very fulfilling because I think I'm first an entertainer, then a problem solver. So
and you did
everything I do every day is amazing. It's so amazing that I find it hard to say no, you know, but I'm learning to do that
take
now.
Lessons from me.
I should. I'm learning to do that now because I'm selecting and prioritizing what I take and what I pay what I pay attention to, and so far so good. It's fulfilling, and I would say I'm pretty much still investing in everything I do, and I'm just waiting for the results.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me a question back, I would say where I am right now is to protect my space.
Okay.
Right. I'm more conscious about the impact that I'm making, the people who are looking up to me. I'm more conscious about developing myself and not being carried away with the accolades. I'm becoming more and more conscious of intentional growth, but I'm also very conscious of just enjoying my present and enjoying my now, because I realized that I'm just a hard worker. Just working, I was just going, just go, just keep doing, but never just taking a break to enjoy and say, hey, peace, you're doing this for yourself. I was always just looking for what's the next big thing I need to do, what's the next project, what's the next event. There just has to be an activity. So now I'm more of, we're doing all those things, we're doing all the speaking, the videos, we're impacting, we're growing businesses, but at every point I'm checking to make sure that I'm at peace with myself, that I'm happy, that I'm content, and I'm enjoying it now. And whenever something or somebody comes to my life and it feels like there's a lot of energy that it's not going to be beneficial to my space mentally, emotionally, it's like, bad energy, go away. I'm super deliberate about that, about growth, about impact, and about really protecting my space and just enjoying now. Because, I mean, what else are we working hard for if not to enjoy the life that we're creating for ourselves?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So we've talked about a lot. We talked about making sure that the core theme behind your many activities is that it's driven by passion, and that there's a center and the core that marries all of them, so you always feel like you're balanced. We've talked about learning how to prioritize, the importance of collaboration, the importance of outsourcing, of just knowing how to manage your time and your tasks most effectively, so that you can, taking breaks, so you can get the best result. Be very, very deliberate about resting, learning how to say no, and just, you know, enjoying yourself. So yeah, this has been a really interesting conversation. I think I really learned a lot, got to know my friend a bit more.
Really?
Yeah, actually, some of the things that I think is a key takeaway is one, making sure that the things that you're doing it's largely driven by passion, and that they all have a way to marry each other. There's a core, one or two things that is at the core of it, so that you always feel balanced. Two, that you consciously take a break, that you consciously rest, that the only way you can be productive is if your body is effective, if your body is strong enough to carry you, if your mind is also really good. So you need to learn to rest your body and also rest your mind. Very important. Also learning how to collaborate with people. People say now that the currency of this age is collaboration. Collaborate or you die, right? Yep. So find people you can partner with. Also find people that you can trust. And outsource things to. If you can, hire staff like Joyce and delegate activities to them.
And pay salaries.
And pay salary. Also learn how to prioritize, manage your tasks and your time effectively. So you know what exactly can be outsourced, what I can delegate, and how I should just, you know, manage my whole time. And also just, you know, making sure that you are fulfilled, that you are happy, that you're content. They are not doing anything as a result of just, you know, keeping the name or keeping the accolades, or, you know, just trying to build a brand, but they are doing them because you really want to do them, because you really enjoy doing them, because it really matters to you, and, you know, enjoy the life that you are building and that you're working really hard for. If you don't enjoy now, when will you enjoy it?
I don't know.
So thank you so much, Joyce, for having this conversation with
me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. If you are yet to subscribe to this channel, please make sure that you click on the button below and that you subscribe. Also, turn on the bell notification button so you always know when I release a new video. If you have questions, comments, if you're a multi-potential like myself and Joyce, talk to us in the comment section. We'll be here to answer all your questions and reply to your comments. Peace. Peace out.